Hey everyone, and welcome to today's DeFi Drop featuring Noah Bortnick, partner at Byzantine Capital and co-founder of Byzantine Labs, the risk and vault curation arm of one of crypto's longest running funds. Byzantine Capital launched in 2016, so an absolute OG, as an ETH-focused fund across multiple chains. And Byzantine Labs is now bringing that decade of institutional experience to DeFi vault curation. Welcome, Noah. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here. It's funny because I don't consider myself an OG, and I don't think any of us do until you look back and you think how long it's been. And so I love being here, and thanks for having me.
Thanks for jumping on. But when you see 2016 and ETH in the same sentence, you kind of like early. So I
Um,
consider you guys OGs.
I think it's actually March, my partner March Zhang. So he was the founding partner of Byzantine Capital. He actually got me. I remember I'm starting to talk about crypto in high school, and here we are now, a decade later, partners in a fund together.
Oh, that's great. That's so cool. I love those stories.
Yeah.
Well, look, we've got a bit to cover. Actually, we'll cover this during the podcast as well, but you've got your FXRP Super Vault on Superform, which is actually launching imminently. Could be straight after this. And also Portal's just added Flare to our platform, so we now support the Flare network. And you guys will be one of the first positions on Flare on Portal. So it's great to have you on. It's a good milestone for us as well. So I'd love to know a bit of your story and your background. I know that you started at the Blockchain Club at University of Kansas in 2015, but you've got a great story. So yeah, let's get it all the way up until now.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's got a crypto origin story, but you kind of touched on mine as well as I touched on mine just a bit earlier. I remember who's now my partner, Mark, saying, talking about crypto when we were in high school and talking about the various things were happening. And I would listen to him. At the time, I wasn't really too interested because you're a high schooler. Well, fast forward a few years later, you get to the University of Kansas, and I love telling people I'm from Kansas, especially when I go to the conferences or wherever it is. And I still live in Kansas. I live in Kansas City, and people I'll see the look on everybody's face. Kansas, Kansas. It is a city, but I did go to the University of Kansas for my undergrad, and there I started to get involved in a number of different things. And for those who know the history of at least XRP, they would know. I know the XRP. Was it the XRP Army? They certainly would know this. That Brad Garlinghouse went to the University of Kansas, and that's of course the XRP founder, which is kind of weird and it's different. But he had recently started a campaign at KU to start the Blockchain Institute at KU. So I started pretty. Um, it was then my sophomore year of college. I started to go to meetings here and there. Interest really started to peak. Um, it started to peak. Okay, once a month meeting. Well, of course, everybody knows how that goes. Once a month, you keep going more and more and more. Fast forward, just a little bit later, I was speaking to March Zhang again, who's a partner, uh, about, okay, he had already started a different fund actually, and I was interested. Okay, what is a hedge fund? What is this? What what are you doing? Trying to get basically a better understanding. Um, One thing led to another. We keep talking, and we later start. We I start another fund actually called Black Box Digital, then Carpathian Capital. All of these were crypto asset managers. Um, just after college. So my entire time, I have I have pretty pretty much focused professionally on the various crypto funds that I could run. Most of them are going to be more of the boutique, the more boutique in AUM. So that's typically going to be between 1 and 30 million. My particular focus during that time uh, wasn't ever just buying and selling. Uh, those days were great when you could buy the liquid speculative funds and boom, you go up. I was never really that interested in that side of it. It felt like gambling, and I like baccarat, but if I'm gonna go play baccarat, I'm gonna go do that. So I knew one thing. I was also getting my MBA at the same time. I was particularly interested, not necessarily in finance, but uh, treasury and business cash flows and how we can create sustainable treasury cash flows. So to me, I'd never seen anything quite like DeFi or even close to DeFi in terms of the yields you were getting. Given at the time, things have certainly matured since then, but that instantly became, my interest, and I was always trying to implement a number of different strategies into whatever fund I was running. But my focus has always been DeFi, DeFi treasury strategies.
Awesome, thank you. Wow, so Byzantine's actually probably one of the longest running crypto funds out there, right?
Um, I can't. So I do want to say I can't take the credit for being one of the two founding partners, but yes, as far as in 2017, uh, it is got to be one of the longest running crypto funds in that I'm aware of. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it started off as an ETH-focused fund
Mhm.
across many chains, but
So,
yeah, how's the fund's philosophy evolved over a decade then? Like, what does that longevity teach you about managing capital through multiple crypto cycles?
so yeah. There's been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of good times, and I mean a lot of really fun times, and then there's been a lot of down times. I think so across what's that, four different funds. There's anything from liquid strategies, venture style investment funds to DeFi focused funds. I think the biggest lesson you can take away from all of that, it's got to be there's going to be bad times. Don't even wonder if there's going to be bad times. Prepare for those bad times. So anytime you think it's going well, I mean, we've seen it already. It's got planned for it to go bad. So um, basically create those systems, not even plans, create the systems that you don't even have to make a decision, uh, that are going to be in place to ensure when those bad times hit, not even that you survive, you can take advantage of them. Because when it's down, that's, of course, we all know this. That's the builders that are still around from some of those earlier pre 2020 eras, pre 2018. Those people had just a little bit different mindset. They weren't worried about the price of tokens. Of course, as a fund with LPs, you do have to be worried about that, but you can still build that groundwork and ingrain yourself closer to the builder community within, I mean, any industry, but crypto in particular, that you're going to be able to sustain and basically have that infrastructure to go, another 10 cycles, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean that
Hopefully.
instinct, yeah, that's instinct, right? Building systems rather than making decisions under pressure. It's exactly what separates the funds that compound across cycles, right? From the ones that liquidate at the bottom, which brings me actually to the structure you built around the discipline. Byzantine Labs is the risk and vol curation arm sitting alongside the fund. Can you walk me through that decision? Why spin it out as a separate function? And does the fund's own capital actually go into the vaults that the labs curate?
Yeah. Uh, so look, I mean, the decision is, I think, to some people an interesting one to do this. Well, we made that decision, I want to say, back in November of last year. Is it to basically make that decision? We're going through a process, or we were and continually are going through a process. Look, as a fund, you really have one choice. Okay, we're going to start another fund. We're going to go, get the traditional legal structure, get with our lawyers, raise the capital, fund administrator, the same thing over and over again. And so we were sitting there, and certainly not a playbook that it's original to us. That I would say most of the curators right now are fund managers or or uh, or, or fund managers previously. So to we were basically sitting there saying, okay, all these vault curators are blowing up. I mean, some of the curators are blowing up. Some of the institutional type of curators are going away. And if you look, some of them started around or started after us, I would say. So I mean, they started after us, but they built these huge brands, which is kind of hard to do based on U.S. laws and regulations to really advertise and put yourself out there. Um, and we ultimately wanted to figure out how we could do that while still maintaining uh, our our discipline and focus to to cure to strategy in in the crypto space. So I'm the head of DeFi at Byzantine. Um, this has been particularly an area that I have been um, allocating very close to a number of the different vault providers, some of the curators just throughout the years. And I knew this was always something that direction that I would want to take with it. I So from that standpoint, we had an opportunity um, to get involved with a couple of different networks a bit back. Flare in particular, I'm close to a couple of their team members there, and basically the relationship started that way. Um, so initially, we've had had a number of opportunities to curate some of the different markets on there, but it then changed later on into more of a oh, there's this opportunity. Does it make sense for you guys? And so the relationship sort of started to evolve into, okay, now we're working with Superform, Flare, and we're particularly excited about this opportunity because um, the Superform is very well known in the vault infrastructure space. We're the first curator to operate on their Superform OS, their new Superform operating system, and uh, he, the amount of thought that they have put into it, it's really cool. It we they to have an all-in-one operating system for curators, and for those who maybe aren't as close to the actual structuring of a product, it's not as simple as, okay, we launch a Lagoon or Upshift contract. There's quite a bit more thought that's got to go into it, all the way from getting, well, if you're a good curator and focus on what you should be focused on, in my opinion, or asset manager, it's going to be security. How the risks you take on within strategies, and risk can come in a number of different ways. A lot of that's going to be infrastructure based. A lot of it's going to be looking at the liquidity that's actually available. Where are those yields coming from? But the most important thing, in my opinion, are things that you can control at the base level. That's got to be security. So within our infrastructure, we have Hypernative operating our on-chain monitoring systems. We use Fortify for our wallet systems, and then we usually have um, I'm going to say, I don't want to say any more sophisticated than some other curators, but a well thought out plan to how we govern our individual vault structures through multi-sig safes and Fortify.
Yeah, well, security is a non-negotiable, right? It's a foundation of how a vault gets built. That discipline is exactly what makes the Flare opportunity interesting to me, because it's a chain that's purpose-built to bring assets like XRP into DeFi. These assets, they like they've never had working yield infrastructure before, like you said. Your FXRP Super Vault goes live pretty much soon, like I've mentioned, but if I'm not mistaken, around, is it 0.1% of XRP's total supply is currently used in DeFi, despite XRP being the fifth largest crypto by
Yeah.
market cap, right?
So, I'm not, I know it's a really small percentage. I'm not 100% sure on that figure. But if you look at blue chip assets right now, and I do think XRP is an interesting one because it's certainly one of the more community oriented and very strongly opinionated community, and every community is, but they're largely not on DeFi right now, and I think that's such an interesting um, take as a uh, as an individual who looks at, okay, if I can get it, if I can create X amount of passive income each month, shoot, there it is. There's the income. That's how you. So if I have all these assets sitting on a ledger, sitting on, and quite a few just sitting on a hot wallet, um, why would I not try to put those to work? And so, yeah, there is a couple of different XRP DeFi opportunities, but largely Flare is doing the really, really solid job in coming up with those new opportunities. They are, I would say, very, very focused on um, creating a institutional type of opportunity for retail.
Especially with XRP, right? So who's actually going to be depositing into this vault, your new vault? Is this going to be the long-term XRP holder, you know, the diehard, the guy who held to $3 and all the way round trip like 5 million
Yeah.
times back to now?
Uh,
Or is it an institution? Is it an institution looking for yield on an asset that they already hold, or someone else entirely?
yeah, yeah. So it's going to be all of the above of what you said. I hope it's all of the above. Certainly, if you are a round tripper, you're doing it right then, like everybody else. I hope that's in this space long enough. But joking, of course. The truth of the matter is, our focus is not necessarily on an individual, but creating a strategy that it doesn't matter if you're an individual to an institution. Now, I can tell you we are expecting individual and institutions, as well as we always allocate capital to our products, whether it's a fund or a vault. So both are our last or this vault. Previously, let's see, a week or two ago, we launched again on Flare stablecoin opportunity vault, and yielding about 14, or I'm going to say 12 to 15 to 17% with the uptoken rewards that you get. We allocate there. That it's important, especially to do that. Our wallets aren't necessarily doxed, but we're there. I suppose I'm not going to say that here, but as a manager, as a curator, for the most part, I think it's important that you have exposure. I will say that most of the past vaults that didn't necessarily go as well. I'm aware Stream that they had serious exposure. So it, that's at least that's at least something that you're not happy to hear, but that they were taking that risk on as well. So we always allocate our capital to these products. Because of that, it does make you that much more focused on double checking to make sure you did make sure to switch over to 3 out of 5 keys, making sure that every signature wallet that you have on those is set to the proper, has the proper governance policies put in place on Fortify. All of that stuff, I think is important, but the most important thing to take away is nobody cares about your money more than you care about your own money.
Mm,
So,
mm. Skin in the game.
yep.
Like it's your own capital
Hmm.
sitting alongside depositors in the same
Correct.
vault. Okay.
Correct.
And it's not a marketing line. You're actually doing this to win, right? That actually leads me neatly to the USDT 0 point I want to bring up now, which is a vault that you already have live on Superform. The one that's been running on Flare for the past couple of weeks, right? How's that going? Is 92% deployed?
So yeah. Right now I have it set to it's primarily lending to the core FXRP market on Flare. That does have very well, somebody I talked to likes to use the word juicy yield on it right now. So and it does. I'm not gonna lie. There's some really nice. It's paying about 5% out in native yield right now, plus the rewards that Flare is adding on top of it. It's adding essentially, depending on the second, 8 to 12% on top of that. And so what we do on our end, we harvest those we harvest those rewards each month when the emissions drop. We harvest them. We we swap the optimal amount back uh into USDT 0, and then we continue to harvest as well, or we continue to yield on top of that. And then we make sure to yield on top of any of the remaining emissions that have not yet been harvested due to the vesting schedule.
So
So,
what percentage of that yield is native versus incentivized emissions?
so right now, I mean, depending on the second, about 4.5 to 5.5% typically is native.
Right.
So Flare is incentivizing this opportunity very, very significantly, and so that's obviously something that we as a curator, we're very again, Flare is very close to us, but we're constantly looking at that particular opportunity as okay, does this vault need to have another opportunity to diversify? If any decisions are made, there is a governance committee. We do put out essentially an amendment to the initial strategy. And we're constantly looking at, new yield sources. But in terms of risk right now, in terms of risk, in terms of uh, institutional quality, the curator on that particular market is Clearstar Labs. And from that perspective, we view it as a very low risk opportunity to get significant rewards while these are incentivized.
Right. And on the distribution side, I'm just going to say, so Portals, I've mentioned it, but Portals did just add the Flare network to our platform.
Good for you guys
And
for doing that.
huh?
That's really awesome that you guys did that. I just wanted to say. I'll pause there. But
We wanted to do it for a while. We're quite cautious on what chains we add. We don't just want to go adding 50 EVM chains or whatever, because it becomes like you want to go with good communities, actual really proven networks, and not just add for the sake of it to have a long list of names, right? We want to have a really active, engaged community and really robust, reliable networks. But yeah, so we're so pleased to have done it. We were really looking for a launch partner, so to speak, and you guys came along, and it was a great time to actually get it done. But yeah, on the distribution side, so we're going to have Byzantines and Superforms vaults there as our first Flare positions. I mentioned that. But from your seat as a curator, what does the aggregator distribution actually change? And is discoverability genuinely the bottleneck for institutional vault adoption right now, or does the real friction lie somewhere else?
uh, yeah, no, yeah, I was speaking with the Superform leaders, or I was founder, excuse me, quite a bit last week because I was typically speaking, I'm more on the institutional side when it comes to capital raising. That's where I have sat, but I've also been on the retail side of DeFi. And how do you find, um, how how do I, as an individual, let's say, find yield before I had, before I had quite a few terminals? You go to DeFi dashboards. Well, it has been a challenge to Flare is not integrated to a number of different aggregators right now. In fact, I'm not aware of any other. I'm not saying there's not. I do know they have the DeFi Llama picks up some data, but it is quite a process that I'm going through actually right now. Um, After that, we were, in my opinion, struggling to get it out there on the aggregator. So I think right now is going to be a very, very interesting experiment. Um, do I think that you guys are going to have success in that? Yeah, I do. I mean, Portals distributes a lot of vaults and a lot of good quality, well put together strategies. And with that being said, you guys are the first, in my opinion, that are to knowledge to do that. That puts you guys ahead, and you guys are focused on vault distribution, and um, that's a huge, huge audience that I would hope the industry taps into as well. And there's Flare's TVL is significantly gone up, so they've done a really good job at attracting capital over there.
Yeah, big time. We were watching it actually. We've been watching it over time. We watch everyone. Um, but yeah, it's been a great project to follow. And
Yeah.
yeah, the timing was right and everything worked out in the end, and that's where we are now. But yeah, you there's a gap between like sort of live capital and discoverable capital, right? And it's precisely what makes the question of an institution actually needing to see allocation so consequential right now. But
Mhm.
you know, Portals is landing here at this exact moment, and yeah, that's where we want to sit as this distribution product. But I just want to just hop over quickly to another topic because we've been on the Flare topic quite a bit now. I
Yeah.
just want to go. You guys are multi-chain, of course. You're agnostic. Obviously, the industry's really moving on. DeFi is going in a lot of different directions right now, and we're seeing big players coming into it. We've got Apollo, Bitwise, Kraken, Coinbase. They're now all involved in DeFi vaults in some form. Where does a firm like Byzantine fit in a world where the bigger names in traditional finance are building their own vault infrastructure?
Hmm. I mean, that's an interesting question because Byzantine's focused, on some of the similar things that some of those players uh, will take on. They're of course on Morpho. They're on some of the larger money markets, credit markets. We are focused on that as well. Um, so hopefully soon you'll see our name in some of those places. We're hopefully going through various processes, um, and once you start to see that, yes, you will see us take on some of the more traditional finance uh, venues or places where more TradFi likes to allocate their capital if they go on chain. But we're not necessarily focused on traditional finance. We, of course, family offices off chain. You can you can talk to them. You can spend time with them, try to educate them about the what crypto is. But people will ask me, why don't you go after that tech more? That's a challenge for us. To be honest, I think that there are certain types of institutions, whether it be a family office, whether it be a company's treasury, that if they would like exposure to the crypto, they could come and find you, which isn't necessarily the right approach, but that they can get that exposure.
Yeah, I was going to say, but it's funny because Coinbase routes deposits through a Morpho vault curated by Stakehouse.
Exactly.
And Apollo and Coinbase needed a crypto native underwriter to sit in between them on the protocol. So, it's not a coincidence that's the model.
Yeah,
You know,
I Morpho is a very important player in a space, and so it people ask me all the time, like, okay, when I'm taking a loan from Coinbase is back in. I don't know the entire arrangement. I'm sure if something ever did happen, I would hope that they would get involved. But no, those are routed through a DeFi protocol. Uh, but it has a really nice looking Coinbase front end. Uh, but to be honest again, the difference between going to Coinbase and um, going directly to Morpho, I mean, there's the custody, self-custody aspect of it, but you can get institutional grade MPC. Fortify is a great wallet provider, and most institutions, I believe, in DeFi either work with Fortify or Fireblocks right now. I have not had the chance to work with Fireblocks, but I've heard good things. Fortify is solid. Insurance-wise, you can get all sorts of uh, regulated insurance. I know that they work with I want to say they work with Lloyd's. I don't know that for a fact. I think there's Munich RE that's provided through there. So the vault cover initiative um, by Open Cover, that is a step in the right direction for institutions to come on chain, as well as that need and want that cover. I've seen that firsthand. Speaking with uh, speaking with some Asian LPs or Asian-based family offices, Asian-based LPs, that the laws are a little bit different in Korea than they would be in the US or in other parts of the world. And so they require that type of insurance for for their particular situation. And so we're able to provide cover on the position through Open Cover Nexus Mutual, and they work with you to get a solution put in place. And it's actually pretty quick and affordable when you take into consideration the risks and the amount of capital they bring. you're allocating, and the yields that you're often getting within the space. And so it's a very customizable solution if you need it and you're an institution coming on chain. So where is Byzantine positioned? We're not positioned to go after, say, a $1 to $5 billion traditional RIA that's sitting out with 401ks, and that's not going to be us. We're more positioned to go after. You are a crypto uh, institution. You are a on-chain uh, high net worth individual, I'll say, or a DAO. Or we'd be more so focused on what types of solutions, what type of vault, what types of strategies that we could ultimately structure or will structure, and that will have already structured. It's a process, and I don't think for Byzantine at this point it makes sense to try to go the other way. There's too big of a gap in terms of literally how you speak, in the terminology, that yes, you can do it, but it will be a long process I think it makes more sense for the BlackRocks and crypto to go off of that side, or no BlackRock yet.
It's been great chatting to you. I'm gonna have to start to wrap up soon, but
Thank you.
yeah, thanks so much for joining. It's been
Of
great.
course.
Like we've got a crazy 6 months ahead, I reckon, for this year. Give it maybe a bit of a quiet summer as per usual, but who knows? Everything's taking us by surprise these days.
Yeah, I think it will be a summer. It'll be a fun summer. I think it'll be a fun summer.
Yeah,
So, yep,
nice.
no matter what. So thank you for having me today.
Oh, no worries. It's been so great, and also amazing that we're going to be launching our first flow vault with you guys. But look, I always end with this question. It's a bit of a game, Noah. We've done, I think, probably, I don't know, 20, 30 of these, and it's interesting to know what the answer is. But this is the question. So the DeFi TVL, as per DeFi Llama today, sits at around 73 billion. Where do you predict this number will be on the 20? No, that's a lie. Where do you predict this number will be on the 31st of December 2026? So New Year's Eve, basically.
So basically, if I think about all the capital that's left the DeFi space, because of some of the various exploits, I think the industry has every exploit that's happened over the last few months, learnable, fixable, um, teachable. And we're actively talking to uh, partners and other curators, other funds, anybody who wants to have a part in fixing an issue and making it better. We're talking to. Um, because of that, I think realistically, I mean, to get 30% of our TBL back from where it was, it is very doable, between now and the end of the year. Uh, but I think it's okay if it goes slow, to be honest. I think slow growth is sustainable growth. I would like to see quick growth, but every time you see quick growth in this industry, it's a trend that comes back down. So I'd like to see quick, sustainable growth back to where we were, which, if you think about all the bad that's happened over the last 12 months, I don't see why we can't do that.
Nice. Good. Optimistic. I like it. We've had one bearish scenario, one bearish answer in this game.
Yeah, that's
And
that's I'm gonna leave it there. All my thoughts about that with you over Telegram.
yeah, good man.
Yep.
All right. Look, no, it's been great.
Thank
Loved
you.
it. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your time.
Cheers.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye.